All right, welcome back. This is take 2 because apparently I'm not smart enough to check and make sure that the camera battery is working. Okay, this is working at least. And it died on me, so we're going to try this again. In the last video, you saw I set up the dry bot. It's been almost 24 hours now since it's been set up. I'm happy to say it is working great. The humidity level coming out of the engine is around 17%, which is awesome. It has gone through at least one regen cycle since I've had it, maybe more that I just didn't notice, but I was out here for one. It takes, I guess, 3 hours to go through a regen. It does dump water out from underneath the machine. It kind of dribbles it out while it's doing a regen, so if you're getting one, keep that in mind with whatever you put this on. I've moved it up to a bench now so it can drain away from it. It's not kind of sitting in the water. Not that it was that much water, but just food for thought if you think about getting one. It is working really well, so I am really happy with it, even though it was kind of pricey, but I think it's going to work out really nice, especially later on when the plane is flying. Anyhow, enough about that. It is now Wednesday, October 29th. I've got most of the prep done. There's still some more prep work to do, but we're in the home stretch of that for the fuselage. I was waiting on that Cerakote to come in. I got more parts Cerakoted this morning. Some of the interior pieces came out really nice. Cerakote lays down so nice it makes everybody look like they know what they're doing. I promise you I do not, but it works really well. So now what I'm going to start doing is the rest of the skin prep. You can see I got one of the forward skins up here right now. This is the forward left skin. This is going to be challenging. It's one step in the directions. It just says dimple the number 30 and 40 holes in all of the skins. That's a lot. It's probably over 1,000 holes that are going to have to be dimpled over the course of the next few days. So we're going to get through it as best we can. The challenging part, especially up front, is there are various holes that are different things. You saw me do these earlier. These were the number, I can't remember what they are now. They're for number 8 screws. So there's certain ones here that get done. The rest around it are number 30. There's all of these holes in this auxiliary longeron that, well, I made them all number 30, so they're going to get 30 now. There's 2 holes that get marked that don't get anything done to them right now. I don't know what that's about, but we'll figure it out later. Something gets mounted to them. And then up along the top edge, I don't know if you can see this, there are several holes that get marked to be dimpled and the rest do not. I think that has to do with the cowl skin that's going to go over it later on. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So I'm marking these out. I'm going to get this set up. We're going to do number 30 first, and then we'll switch over to 40s, and we'll at least get this skin done and just start powering our way through the rest of them. So stick around. As always, VoiceOver Tim will tell you what does and does not get done, and we'll just get through this as best we can. When these are done, I'm going to Cerakote the inside of them, at least the skins that are in the cockpit area themselves. The remaining skins I'm not going to do anything with. And then the only other thing that needs to be done is those armrests. I need to take them back apart again, scuff them, clean them, and Cerakote them. Still lots of prep work, but we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Anyhow. Okay, welcome to the voiceover part. So, starting the dimpling on these forward skins, and I am about to make a mistake. I'll explain it here in a minute, but just happily going along dimpling. And there's the mistake right there. But I do want to take this opportunity to say that I really do love this Clemson C-frame and my pneumatics squeezer. Being able to use 2 hands while I work the foot pedal and manipulate the parts really is an awesome way to go. I can't imagine having to do this while operating a swing arm for like a DRDT. I'm sure there's plenty of people that do it, or I know there's plenty of people that do it. But this just seems like it's cheating, and I really like it. Another issue, and I'll explain it here in a minute, is I'm also not dimpling. Well, I dimpled too many holes, and I didn't dimple enough holes. That drawing gets really, really confusing. All right, got the scuffer out for the next panel. Decided it was better, since I'm going to Cerakote the inside of these, it was better to scuff them first, then dimple them. It saves wear and tear on that scuff pad anyways. So pull the vinyl off. Not going to need that on anymore. I like dimpling without it on, and I don't cut strips for rivet rows, so if it gets scratched, it'll get taken care of when it's paint time. And right there, I realized there's a problem. So let's go back to the shop to explain it. All right, here's a live update from the garage. I'm trying to be as open with my mistakes as I come across them, and well, I made another one. So I'm sure voiceover me has already alluded to it while I was doing it. Let's see if I can get this up here so you guys can see this. Okay, clean this down. Okay, so this double edge right here of number 30 holes should not be dimpled. Not on this one and not on the next skin. I went ahead and dimpled them. That was a mistake. Working off of the drawing, the step tells you to dimple all of the holes for countersunk number 40 and number 30 rivets. As you can see, there's a lot to see on this eye chart. And where I screwed up was these symbols right here, as well as right here on the other side for the other skin. Yeah, this entire row over here. Those are domed head rivets. They are not, those are 470s, they're not 426s. So what does that mean? Well, that means I need to put a flat set in here, and I'm going to try and flatten out the dimples. I think if I'm doing it just one time, I think I'll get away with it. If they flatten out okay, since they're getting standard rivets in them, I think it's going to be fine. On this one, there are a bunch more down a couple of these rows that also are 470, so I will be sure to mark those so I do not dimple them. The other thing I need to do is, it tells you to dimple these skins in accordance with the drawing that I just showed you. The problem with that drawing is I went through and marked which one of these holes were called out for rivets, and that's why I skipped these other ones. But if you go back and look, those other ones are left open because the other skin is going to overlap the top of it and get riveted to it. But they still need to be dimpled because there's going to be a dimple on the other skin that has to sit inside of the dimple on that skin. So I need to go back and dimple all of those as well. So is there any good way to know that right now based off of these drawings? No, not that I can see. If there is, then I'm just missing it and I'm not reading it right. But there's so much going on that one drawing, it's just confusing. So I'm going to try and recover from what I did. Next up, you'll see me probably put the flat set in here and try and squeeze those things flat and hope like hell I get it. Shouldn't be the absolute end of the world. Obviously it needs to be strong, but I think if I was going back and forth and weakening the aluminum, I'd have to worry about it a little bit more. If I was trying to undo one or put a dimple in somewhere or flip a dimple around the other way, then I'd be really worried. So I think it's going to be all right. We'll see what happens. Anyhow, back to VoiceOver Tim and the live action of what actually ends up happening. Okay, so swapping out the dimple dies for the flat set, and I'm trying to flatten out those dimples that I put in there. And it actually worked out. You can see they're flat. You can see a little deformation, but they're flat. They're flat to the touch. They should work just fine. So, lesson learned. Don't do that again. And now I am dimpling the remaining holes along the top that I didn't dimple because I didn't think I needed to. Would have been obvious, I think, once I put the skins on the plane, but it's definitely better to do it now when you're supposed to do it. So You just have to look at that drawing a lot and look at all the overlapping panels and realize that even though it doesn't say a rivet call out for a certain spot, it doesn't mean there's not going to be a rivet that goes through there and you're not going to need a dimple in it. You just got to look at the skin that goes on top of it. So anyhow, onto the mid skins, and I flipped the dimple die around. Or did I flip it yet? No, I haven't flipped it yet. I'm going to flip it around here in a second to work around that corner, that bend that I put in the panel. So yeah, I'm realizing I can't quite get that thing all the way in there, so I flipped the dimple die set around. Yeah, it's just too much. So I'm going to flip the dimple die set around and go at it from the other way. So with the male on the bottom now and the skin upside down, I was able to get it finished. And I cut out a lot of this so you don't have to watch me do the second skin on everything. Another thing I decided to do now, it's not called for in the plans, hopefully it doesn't screw me up later, is get the NACA vent installed. And I wanted to get that on because I plan on Cerakoting the backside of this panel. And since I plan on using Pro Seal on the NACA vent, I want to do it while it's still raw aluminum because I'm pretty sure the Pro Seal is not going to stick very well to Cerakote. I thought about just taping it off and then coming back and doing it later, but I just decided it was better just to put it on now, and then I'll just Cerakote over the entire backside of the panel. So I got it lined up, marked out where I want my rivets to help hold it. Pro Seal should do a good bulk of the work for holding it on there as well. Machine countersink the part, and I threw some filler primer on the inside of that NACA vent. It'll ultimately get regular epoxy primer later on when the plane gets painted, and then paint to match whatever the exterior skin is. So on with the Pro Seal. Side note, and I'll show it to you here in a second, while I was doing this, for a while I've been wanting to put some sort of a grill in there to keep wasps, bees, and other large insects from making their way in through the Gasper vents, both on the wing NACA vent and the one here on the side of the fuselage. So I went and designed one in my software on the computer and 3D printed a few different versions and finally came up with a version that I like. Think it's going to work out really well. I might add them to the store. Let me know in the comments if you guys think you want them. But it fits inside the NACA vent really well and should be sufficient to keep the big bugs out, I hope. Another mistake I made, I tried using the soft rivets, the all aluminum ones. They did not work well for this application. They were too long. So ultimately I had to drill them out and then just use the rivet gun and put regular rivets in it. And that worked out really well. Just a little back and forth there. Anyways, here's the vent, or the grill for the vent. And there's a picture of it inside. So it just kind of snaps in there, and then the hose and the clamp should help hold it in, but probably put like a little bead of silicone around it just to help hold it in there later on anyways. Okay, on to that bulkhead that I had the double row of holes accidentally drilled in. I got the new part from Vans, got it match drilled, and am now swapping it out for the other one. I also got it Cerakoted, so it matchies. Hopefully that double row doesn't come to bite me in the butt later on when I put this all back together, but we'll take our chances. So another thing, while I was waiting on the temperature to warm up so I could Cerakote skins, as well as letting some paint dry on some other things I was working on, I decided I'd just go ahead and skip ahead and start the initial assembly process. So we have officially begun final assembly. Oh, yeah, here you go. Cleaning the skins. Since nobody can tell me no, I use the bathtub. And there they are, Cerakoted. That Cerakote really does lay down nicely. Anyhow, back to what I was saying. I started on the final assembly. These are the lower longerons going in for the last time. I'm throwing the bolts in right there. And then there's 2 screws that go up through the gear well, or the gearbox there. And I'm going to get those all started, and then I'll break out the torque wrench here in a minute, and I'll actually get them all torqued down and put some torque seal on it so they are marked and good to go. And then it's time for rivets. The only thing I kind of screwed up here is I should have put Clecos in those things too while I was bolting them down. It didn't really affect the alignment, but it's definitely good practice to Cleco everything in place. And there you go with the torque wrench, getting everything all tightened down. And then we're going to jump through a lot of the riveting, but I was able to use the squeezer to get every one of the dome head rivets in. And then there are 5 countersunk rivets or flush rivets that get fed up through the bottom, and 4 of them are just behind that plate, so there's no way to get the squeezer in there. You gotta shoot them with the rivet gun. The last one is on the very end of that longeron, closest to the camera right now, and that one I was able to squeeze. Yeah, there you see the rivet gun going after those flush rivets. All in all, not too bad. The one on the back side of the gear tower there, or the one closest to the gear tower, was kind of a pain because there's a bolt head right there you got to work around. But there you go, finished product. The longerons were also Cerakoted, and there's some torque seal, just so they match the skins and the floor later on. All right, time for the dimpling of the floppiest of floppy skins. These are the tail cone side skins. Very thin, very long, very, very floppy. When you're handling them, moving them around, doing other stuff, definitely want to Cleco the stringers to them, or the longerons to them. Stiffens them up nicely, but for this, obviously, nothing I can do about it. So I moved the bench out just so I wasn't having it bend over the edge of the bench so much while I got these dimpled. And nothing went wrong here, at least not that I know of yet. It all worked out well. The only gotcha you got to pay attention to here is there's 3 holes on the top edge towards the back here that you have to skip because they're mounting holes for the rear empennage fairing later on. Otherwise, everything gets dimpled. Most of them are number 40. There's a few number 30s, and then that's it. And then the last of the big skins, the belly skin. And this one, a little awkward. That radius for that bend is too much, and it's rubbing on the C-frame right there. So I'm just doing the middle pieces that I have to do with it. Those edge pieces, rather than messing around with it, I decided to just do them with the squeezer handheld style. Lots of different ways you could attack this problem, but and that's it for the C-frame again for a little bit. So as of the end of this, all the parts are now prepped. I have started fuselage final assembly. All the rest of the parts are now prepped and ready to go. I just have to decide what I'm doing with the top rails, which there you see me finishing them right now. I'm about to get them all dimpled up with the number 30, the number 40, and the number 19 holes. I had thought about polishing these. They're a very high wear item because this is the top cap underneath the canopy when you get in and out of the plane. So I'm still kind of kicking around the idea of what I want to do. I know some people have polished them just because they're going to get scratched, they're going to get worn out. If you paint them, you got to be prepared to be repainting them fairly often because the paint's going to wear off. I thought about Cerakoting them. I'm just a little worried that if the Cerakote starts to chip or wear off, you can't really patch or touch up Cerakote that well. It doesn't want to stick to itself. So not 100% sure. If you got suggestions or ideas what you think you would do with yours, let me know down below. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning towards the polishing them a bit, and that way I don't have to worry about them wearing down. Anyhow, this was kind of a long one. Lots and lots of work got done over the last few days. Thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you all on the next one.